Pope Francis has opened an unprecedented summit on sexual abuse in the Catholic Church with bishops from around the world. Francis opened the four-day meeting by insisting that the Church must listen to abuse victims. But survivors have voiced concerns that the Pope's efforts to raise awareness do not go far enough. The summit comes after an avalanche of allegations against Catholic priests, accusing them of molesting young boys and raping nuns. Let's listen now to more of what Pope Francis had to say.
The holy people of God are looking at us and do not expect from us simple and predictable condemnations, but concrete and effective measures.
Let's get more now. We are joined by DW Religious Affairs analyst Martin Gack. How big is this for the Church, Martin?
It's quite big. At least it is trumpeted as being quite a sort of a moment of change in the Church. This is something that remains to be seen, however. It is true that there is a very clear demand of concrete actions. It is also true that the Church in 20 years has actually not produced concrete actions.
Do you see the potential for that concrete action? Because, I mean, many are looking at us, they're saying, oh, great, they're talking about it now. But can we see something bigger come out of it than just acknowledging that there is indeed a problem?
I think that we should disabuse ourselves from continuing this talk about talking about it. I mean, the Church has been talking about it and has been talking about it for 20 years. Victims had been talking about it. NGOs had been talking about it. The Church, quite simply, has not produced protocol or policy. So it's unclear whether they have the capacity to do it and there is the political will. The fact is that there's been a couple of things over the last 2 weeks, including McCarrick's defrocking, this very, very senior New York former cardinal, which seem to show that this Vatican actually has the political will. What we don't know is whether they have actually the political muscle. They have the capacity to implement changes.
So let's talk a little bit more about the strategy, because, I mean, they wrote the following about how they plan to approach this. Responsibility, accountability, transparency are the words that they're using. I mean, they say that these three principles, that it will guide their strategy when they're talking about sex abuse in the Church. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that these are key words for any process of adjudication. I mean, clearly responsibility, transparency, and accountability are important things. I think that what is telling about the fact that these are actually headlining topics is that the Church understands that it has lost legitimacy in all three areas. I mean, the Church is not seen as something that is transparent, it's not seen as something that is responsible, and most certainly, it's not seen as something that is accountable to justice in general. So one of the, I think, most important questions is whether the Church is willing to bring in national authorities to adjudicate what are actually crimes.
Okay, and do you think that there's, first of all, the potential for that?
I think that there is a potential, but I think that what you also have is that in a very, very large institution with very many people, any one of these cases that you pull out has a lot of people attached to it. Not only people that necessarily raped or that abused, but people that actually cover up and people that might not have willingly covered up but were part of systems. So what we're talking about here is about something that is truly, truly widespread and truly massive in terms of the connections and the amount of political and institutional relations. I do not see, just the will to change as being sufficient. This is something that would depend not only on the Vatican, but it also will depend on the churches at local level across the world, really.
DW Religious Affairs correspondent Martin Gack, thank you.
You're welcome.